broadcasting to you live from Berlin, Germany, which is where I live. This is my home, and I get a lot of flack for that, yeah, from Indian people. Um, and It's kind of funny in a way because, a long time ago about reservations and how we were placed on there, that we couldn't leave, yeah. And, for every tribe, this is a different thing. Um, some tribes were forcibly marched to these areas. They were taken off their homeland and they were marched. And sometimes they were marched, thousands of miles away, to a land that they were totally unfamiliar with. It's devastating. It's heartbreaking, and people are in shock. They're brokenhearted, and it is a very, 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 very traumatic experience. They have no choice. Yeah, they had to either go on it or die. Yeah, that was their predicament. And what a dualistic predicament, yeah. If you want to live, you have to go on this march. And if you don't, we kill you, yeah. And not much of a choice, because for some people it was death no matter what. And so that's how it was for some people. When most people know of the Trail of Tears, and that wasn't just Cherokees. That was several tribes that was involved in that. But that wasn't the only one. Yeah, the Navajos were marched all over the place, and I really don't know where their traditional homeland is. Where the Navajos are today, in northern Arizona and northeastern New Mexico, southeastern Colorado. No, not eastern. Northwestern New Mexico, southwestern Colorado, and southeastern Utah. This is not their homeland. Other tribes lived there, but they were forced out too. And so the Navajos were marched several locations, and the government finally put them where they are today. This is why there's a lot of friction between the Indians there and the Navajos, because the Navajos they're not where they belong, so to speak. I bet there's a lot of Navajos that don't even know that. Yeah, I learned this from an older Navajo guy, and it was really shocking. Yeah, that they went through some kind of a march as well. So there's lots of tribes, where this happened to them, but not all of them. Yeah, for some tribes, like us Lakota people, we're still on our homeland. It's just that we're on a tiny remnant of our homeland. Some of us are in the wrong area, though. Yeah, like for example, Pine Ridge, where they are located right now, the Pine Ridge Sioux Indian Reservation, where they are located is not their territory. That is Hohoju territory. That's where they're from. Oglala territory. Well, Pine Ridge people are Oglala Lakota people, and their territory is in Nebraska. In Nebraska, I think it's northern to middle Nebraska. That's Oglala territory. So those Lakota people are, today their reservation is located on what used to be Hohoju Lakota territory. It's really interesting. A lot of people don't realize these things. Like I said, we are in our homeland, but We're on the remnant of it. So if we were not force marched to a desolate land, because a lot of city Indians like to say that, Indian people were marched off their homelands and they were forced onto lands that nobody else wanted, and so they were forced into these desolate lands and they were told to be farmers, and they all died. Yeah, well, that's not true. That is not true at all. For us Lakota people, our reservations are on very beautiful land. And I think there really should be more tourist programs for people who are interested in Lakota things to go to the reservations, and you will see that the landscapes are magnificent. Yeah, it's a very beautiful land. It's not desolated at all. It absolutely is not. I've been to every reservation in my life at one time or another. Yeah, I've been to all the reservations, Lakota, Dakota reservations, except up into Canada. I haven't been to those, but I've been to all the ones in North Dakota, and in South Dakota, even parts of Montana. I've been to all these places, and they're beautiful. The landscapes are just breathtaking. So we are not on desolate land, and we were not marched off our homeland. We're still there. It's just that we're on the remnant. Yeah. So so it's different. That's what I'm saying. For different tribes. Okay. So you heard me say that we were we were forced onto the reservations, and we couldn't leave them, and we were told to stay there by the government, or they'll kill us. We'll be considered hostile and an enemy to the United States, and they would have to kill us if we escaped the reservation. And that's funny because when people tell me today, and they say, "Why are you among all those white people? Why are you among the Nazis?" They say. No kidding, I get this all the time. Yeah, several times a week I get these kind of emails. Why are you not with your people? Even Germans are writing this to me. Why are you not with your people? Your people need you. Why are you not with them? They'll say. I think that's funny because in the late 1800s, the American government was saying the opposite. Yeah, stay on the reservation. and now people are saying, why are you off the reservation? I find that funny. Oh man. And see, people who ask these questions, to me it shows their limited view on life. They see they say, okay, they'll say I should be only with Indian people to help them. Indian people are saying, why are you with those white people? And why are you telling them our knowledge? And things like that. Legitimate questions, stupid but legitimate. Yeah, because if you really know the bigger picture, then you will see that if we're going to be using this word mitakuye oyasing, that includes all people. And some people will use the medicine wheel as a way to say that represents the four races of people, but that's false. Those colors are just the direction colors. Yeah, they're not representing skin color whatsoever. Because there's no such thing as yellow skin. That doesn't exist. And Indians, we're not red. Columbus called us red. He called us red Indians. So why are we calling ourselves red people? We're not red. And after Columbus, when he reaches this so-called New World and calls us red Indians, because he thought he was in India in the beginning, that word reaches back to Europe. So when other people come, other European explorers come this way, they're all referring to us as red Indians. And by the time America is set up, we're called Redskins because there was a time in our history where it was a law to kill Indians. And so the museums wanted the heads because they wanted to study, to see. They want a lot of scientists back in the day. And we're talking like 1800s here. That a lot of the scientists wanted to prove to the world that Indians are animals. And so that's why they wanted skulls. And then there were private companies, trading companies that were paying people for Indian skin. So they would, kill Indians and then skin them, and then they would sell that skin and to these companies that then would form that into lampshades and jackets, and it's just incredibly horrible what these people were doing. And another situation, the state governments would pay you so many cents for every Indian you killed. So, and to prove that you killed an Indian, you had to bring in his scalp. And it could be a kid too. It's not just a man. It could be anybody. So they went killing all these Indians and scalping them, and then they would skin the bodies and make these these skin into bags, and then throw all their scalps in there, and that's what they would take to the state government offices, which would then pay you for that. That's where the term redskin comes from. That's a very racist term. A lot of Indians don't even know that. That's a part of American history that America really, really, really wants to cover up. That it was a law to kill Indians. It was a law to skin them, sell the skin, sell the heads, cut the heads off, to prove that we were animals. That's incredible what they did. Yeah? Incredibly horrible, I should say. So, the term red, we never used that term for ourselves. Yeah? And when in old Lakota Star and all the stories, you heard me say this, and I'll say it again, is that it calls us Ikje. It doesn't even say we're Lakota or Indian or First Nations or Native American. It doesn't say anything like that. It says Ikje Oyate or Ikje Wichasa. Ikje Wian. It's a human nation, a human man, a human woman. That's what it refers us to. And it refers that all humans are Ikje, not just Lakota people, and not just Indians, but everybody is Ikje Oyate. Because if we were different species, we shouldn't be able to understand each other. We shouldn't be able to learn one another's language. We should have different ways of communicating. Yeah? That for white people, that maybe their mouths should be, on their stomachs, and for black people, maybe their mouths should be on their foreheads, and that makes it physically impossible for us to actually speak to each other. You see what I mean? But it's not that way. So the whole fact that we can learn one another's language, that we can um, use that to communicate with each other, that we can have children, and that those children all speak the same language. This is showing to you we are all Ikshaway out there. We are human. So that medicine wheel, the four colors do not represent the four races, because there's more than four races, people. In Lakota Star Knowledge, it says that humans appeared in 5 areas around the same time, at that time when there was only one continent. And all the people today come from those 5. Those 5 mixed. They mixed with each other. And we come from that. The skin color is basically the same in the beginning. And then as we settled in our homelands, as we made our home in certain parts of this continent, some of us lived in the area that was closer to the sun. And so the bodies have to adapt. So the skin gets darker, the hair gets rougher. Yeah? The eye color turns a certain way so that this way that the body can survive there. Some people go north. Their skin color lightens because they're distant from the sun. So their eye colors change, their hair colors change. This happens, over a million years. Their bodies are adapting. The skin colors, that comes later. Yeah, wherever we settled, that's where our skin colors developed in relation to our distance from the sun. So if you look at peoples, in the central part, all around the world, we're basically brown. I know a girl from Algeria, and she came. She's actually a relative of somebody I know here in Berlin. And a couple of years ago, she came up to visit Berlin. That was the first time I met her. And my gosh, she was just as brown as I was. Yeah, Arab girl. Her hair was like mine, yeah, and it's just the facial features that showed you she was Arab. But if her facial features were more like mine, she could have passed for an Indian really easy. Yeah, so it's interesting, yeah. So when you see things like that, skin color doesn't mean a damn thing. It just developed because of where we live in relation to the sun. Yeah, so again, that medicine wheel, the 4 colors do not represent races of people. They absolutely do not. And so when we're talking, some people misunderstand this mitakwe oyasin, and they'll say that, okay, this stands for the 4 races of people, and that means all people are supposed to do Lakota ceremonies and speak Lakota language. No, that's not what it means. Not at all. Not at all. Because that is focusing outside the sacred center. Yeah, that doesn't mean we're supposed to all do Lakota ceremonies. Those ceremonies developed after we came onto Earth. These are not about the sacred center. These are about the skin color. This is people use this to be against each other. People use ceremonies to separate themselves from one another and keep themselves separate from one another. And then they'll say, well, hey, us guys are better than you, or us guys are smarter than you, or and then you have this duality thinking coming in. And that's how it was all over the world. I mean, it still is that way. Even among Indian people, a lot of people say, Yeah, boy, back in before white people came, boy, we could do anything. We could go anywhere we want. I could swim in the streams naked and nobody would say anything, and I would eat the wild fruits after I swim and enjoy the sun, and maybe I'd do a little bit of fishing and cook my fish over the open fire and watch the stars at night. I can do this every day. That's how it used to be before the white man came. That's bullshit. Total bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I'll tell you the real scenario. You can't, for one thing, you better not go out alone because you never know who's out there. There could be enemies. So you have to have several people with you when you go out, whether it's hunting or whatever, or just going checking the area out. There has to be more than one of you, and during the night, one of you stays up all night and watches, yeah, and to keep a lookout. And then the next day, he still stays up, but the next night another guy's going to be lookout. Yeah, and you have to be careful where you when you're gonna if you're gonna fish and cook it, you have to be careful where you do this, because if you do it out in the open, smoke is gonna go up. As you start your fire, smoke is gonna go up, and maybe there's enemy warriors nearby and they see that smoke, and they could come check it out. And if there's more of them than there are of you, it's not a good situation. That's the reality. We were at war constantly with other tribes. It wasn't peaceful. See, that shows you that duality existed among Indians even before white people came. So, even when you're the same, see, first of all, people who are different skin color, they'll say, we don't like those guys because they're really mean or whatever. We don't like those purple people because they're really mean, and those green people are even worse. And, going like that. But then it doesn't stop there. I mean, you have a whole 2 continents of nothing but brown-skinned people, North and South America. No white people. Yeah, but they still found a way to separate themselves from each other. This is how duality works. Yeah, first of all, people will say, we don't like those guys because they have white skin. Well, what if that land has no white skin? Then you start looking at others. We don't like those guys because they speak funny, and they look funny, so we don't like them. They're the enemy. See, in dualistic thinking, it's always us against them. There's only 2 options. So you see, Indians fell away from Lakota Star knowledge thousands of years ago. Yeah, we fell away from that thousands of years ago. So this is why today most people don't even know what it is. So again, that medicine wheel, it does not represent skin color. Yeah, it represents other things, but not skin color. So when you hear somebody say that, that represents the 4 races of people, number 1, they're wrong. Number 2, they're misinformed. Number 3, they know what they're doing, but they're trying to get you to stay away from them. That means they're encouraging duality. Yeah, they're growing it. They're saying only Indians here. And then when you have a bunch of Indians together, then they say, okay, you Navajo stay over there, you Mohawk stay over there, you Apache stay over here, and us Lakota, we're right here. So now they separate amongst each other. Then it breaks down again. All right, you Dakotas are farmers, so you guys live over there, and you Nakotas are fishermen, so you guys stay over there, or whatever. Yeah. So now we separate into dialects. Then it separates again. There's always this separation. And we have to be careful about that. Yeah, because that's violating this concept of mitakwe oyasin. Again, it doesn't mean that we're all supposed to do Lakota ceremonies. What it means is we're supposed to be human. That means we're supposed to communicate from our sacred center. Those four colors, they do represent certain things, like the four parts of the body, the four stages of life, the four basic emotions, the four difficulties, the four parts of the mind, the four parts of the soul. Yeah, it represents a lot of things, and that's the colors are the flags of the four grandfathers that made those four directions. That's their color, but it's not skin color. It's just a color. Yeah, it's used to represent certain things, but not skin color. So that is something that really has to be understood. And then once you understand that, then you understand why I'm in Europe. So when people say, well, "Why are you over there?" That shows you they don't understand that concept of mitaku racing. Yeah, it shows you they don't understand what Lakota Star knowledge is. And to say, why do I belong here? I mean, why am I over here? I should be among my own people to help them. It makes it look like my people are totally helpless without me. Gee, that would make me like a Indian Jesus, yeah? That's not true. I'm rugged. Oh shit. And for those of you that really know your gospel, Jesus didn't. He himself said, "I didn't come for just the Jewish people. He said, I came for everybody." He said. So he took a lot of flack from his own people. Yeah. So that's just a side point there. Just interject that. Anyway, I am not here because people are white or people are whatever. I'm just here because this is where my dreams brought me. Yeah, and now I'm listening to my dreams and what's going to happen next. Yeah, that's the next thing. So, because I'm in transition right now. I'm going through an experience here in Berlin. I don't know what's going to happen next. I've gone through something that is now put me in what you call that transition, and I'm hanging on and staying in the present moment as best as I can, so I can pick up the signal that tells me what I'm supposed to do next or where I'm supposed to be next, because I don't know right now. If I get some kind of message or whatever that's saying, okay, now I might meet somebody from another land, and next thing you know, I'll end up there and have to do my work there. I don't know yet. I'm waiting. Yeah, and if I'm still going to be here in Berlin, that's totally fine with me. I'm home inside of myself. Yeah, I feel home wherever I go. I mean, when I like someplace, I can feel home there. Like for example, several years ago, I'd spent a lot of time in Ireland, and the first time I landed in Ireland, it felt like coming home for some reason. And I really grown to fall in love with that land. There's just something about that land that just says home. So at this time I consider myself having two homes. Yeah, here in Berlin and the other one on the west coast of Ireland. But you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, you just sometimes things happen out of the blue. Like something happened to me here in Berlin out of the blue, and that put me in transition. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I don't know. Yeah, I have no clue. But one thing I do know is that I have to stay in the present moment. When you're in transition, just in general, you really should be in the present moment. That way, when something comes at you, whether it's a blessing or a difficulty, you're able to take it right away and start dealing with it right away, so that it doesn't throw you for a loop. I mean, it'll surprise you. I'm home wherever I am, so that helps me to deal with transition. Yeah, that when something happens and you have to leave, or then you do. Even me coming here to Berlin, there were things happening in where I lived in Dupree, South Dakota, that were a lot of difficulty, and I just didn't see an end. And suddenly, out of this blue, comes this opportunity to come to Berlin. And I thought, boy, that's one hell of a change, yeah. And I thought, is that even possible? So here I am. Yes, it was possible. So as long as you do what you have to do, yeah, take the necessary steps. That's what I did. I found out, okay, what has to happen for me to be a resident here, and things like that, and did all my legal paperwork and turned all that stuff in, and voila, here I am. Yeah. So I know transition requires some effort on your part too. You can't just sit there and do nothing. You have to do something too, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah, just the fact that I'm a resident of the European Union, that means I can live in any European Union country. I'm free to move around in the European Union. So if there is a move, I sure hope it's within the European Union. Shoot. No, I don't think I'll be moving. This city is got a hold on me, so. Anyway, so it's funny when people ask me that. What are you doing over there? Get back over to the res where you belong. Gee. if I if I did that, geez, I would have missed a lot of nice things here. I had a lot of nice experiences in Europe and met some wonderful people, and that would have never happened in South Dakota, because South Dakota is mostly a racist state. And I often catch myself off guard, like when I'm having dinner with friends here, like maybe somebody's having a birthday party or a dinner party, and they ask me to come over, and there I am sitting in a dining room with a house full of white people, and we're just yapping away and talking about all kinds of things, and then I have to catch myself from time to time, and I think, boy, this would never happen in South Dakota. Yeah, never. they treat they treat me like a human here, and I like that. It took some time getting used to, though, yeah, because some people would, uh, I'd be walking down the street, and then maybe some lady would drive up in the car and say, "Hi, David, how are you?" and pull over, so I'd go over there, give him a hug, and say, "Oh, I'm doing pretty good." And I said, What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm going shopping." "Yeah, I just got off work. I'm going home," stuff like that. And so, what are you doing this weekend? Started up a little conversation. "Oh, I said, hey, you want to go to a movie? I heard Star Wars is out." "Oh, okay, cool. 3D. All right, let's get some 3D glasses." "Okay, so I'll send you email or WhatsApp, and I'll pick you up at such and such time, and then we'll head over there." "Oh, okay, cool." That would never happen in Dupree. Yeah, never. If that happened, other white people would be driving by, and they'd be really staring, and they'd be, why is that white guy or white girl talking to that Indian guy? Yeah, it's that's how it would be in Dupree, but here people don't care. Yeah, that's what I like. I like that kind of thing. So, not interested in going back to the res, yeah? Nope, don't think so. Shoot. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, I get that question asked quite a lot. What are you doing over there? Why are you teaching them our knowledge? And actually, Lakota Star knowledge, it does not include the 7 ceremonies. The 7 Lakota ceremonies, that is all has to do with skin color. And when people you only communicate from the skin color, what they're doing is they're perpetuating that idea that people of different skin colors should stay away from each other, and that's racism. That's why I don't want any part of that. What I teach is knowledge that comes millions of years before the ceremonies. And when I'm talking about ancestors, I mean Ikche Oyate. I don't mean Lakota. Lakota, the concept is just a couple thousand years old. What I'm talking about is millions of years old. And that those teachings, to me, far supersede ceremonial things. That's in the Lakota Star knowledge. There's no need for ceremonies. It's not necessary, because the teachings that it teaches is that you are the sacred item, and your life is the ceremony. So it's how you live. Because reality begins within, as I said earlier, how you live defines how sacred your ceremony is. That's what it's about. And that belongs to everybody. So the knowledge I'm sharing is more ancient, and it's meant for everybody. Yeah. So this is what I'm about. But a lot of so when white people or Indian people ask me this question, why are you in Germany? It already is telling me that they don't have a comprehension of either Mitake Oyasumi or brotherhood, sisterhood. They don't understand that. So that shows me their level of thinking. And that what I say, whatever I say, they may not be able to comprehend. So most of those messages I don't even answer. Or I'm funny about it, yeah? I'll say, well, I was supposed to fly to Denver and somehow I ended up in Berlin. I said, hey, here I am. Just decided to stay. Usually they don't write to me after that, but I choose my contacts wisely. Yeah, so that doesn't matter to me. Shucks. Anyway, so I just thought I would mention that because it's just kind of a funny thing. Yeah, back in the 1800s, get back to the reservation where you belong. And people are saying that to me today, and even though we're free to travel wherever we go today, it's still funny to hear that. After over 100 years, people are still saying, "Why aren't you with your people?" I am. I'm with the humans.